Pete said openly, I'll participate in the home run derby if I'm selected to the All-Star game. Major League Baseball, looking to make the home run derby a thing, obviously chose Pete Alonso to be an All-Star because they wanted him to participate in the home run derby. And in turn, it ends up hurting his teammates. And you think Pete, who, by the way, was not there for the meeting that turned around this season because he got hit on the hand that day and he wasn't there. He wasn't there for the meeting that turned around the team season. He has been one of the least impactful Mets in this season's turnaround. And show me the numbers. Show me the film. Dispute that. Like, this is not my opinion. This is facts. Pete Alonso has been one of the least significant Mets as far as this turnaround goes. We've rattled off 6, 7 guys better ahead of him. And you would think that Pete Alonso, after being wrongfully selected to the All-Star game, while acknowledging that he was excited to go and participate in the All-Star game, he could have very easily said, and he was asked about it directly. I went back and watched it again today just to make sure I didn't miss anything. He was asked directly about Lindor and Nimmo getting overlooked. And he was like, yeah, well, I'm sure if, guys, spots open up and guys don't want to go, guys get hurt, maybe those guys could go. The way that you would handle that as a leader, as an All-Star, as a, 3 years in a row All-Star, as one of the faces of the franchise, as Pete Alonso either thinks he is or some people think that he is. The way that you would handle that is saying, look, it's a great honor to be able to be selected for the All-Star game. I don't think I'm having a good enough season. I wish I was having a better season, but I'll take it. Really, who should be going is Francisco Lindor and Brandon Nimmo, or one of the other, whoever he felt at the time. He didn't say that. And to me, it just came across as selfish. I'm not trying to make a huge deal of this, but it was written about it in The Athletic from Ken Rosenthal as well. And that's how I feel that if you're a leader, if you're not selfish, you would handle things in a different way, like Nimmo and Lindor did themselves a year ago or 2 years ago, whenever it was, where they were talking about, Nimmo should really go. Lindor saying Nimmo should go to the All-Star game, and Lindor saying Nimmo should go. That, to me, is how you should handle yourself. I think I'm just done with Pete Alonso at this point. I thought he was going to have a big year. He didn't. I want to move. The Mets need to trade Alonso. Like, it's not just God, that. I mean, what? Yeah, I know. There's a lot there.
There's a lot there. The irony is that of all the things that are there, the only thing I agree with you on is the last thing that you said. Yeah, I do believe that the Mets should move on from Pete. I got to be honest here, Sal. You're nitpicking. I mean, is it Pete Alonso's responsibility to be the All-Star police? I'm not saying that he couldn't have, propped up some of his teammates, and Nimmo and Lindor both did it. There's a different way to handle it. Yeah, no, it's an honor anytime you get a chance to represent the Mets in this great game of baseball on that stage. It's an honor. I've always, I've dreamt about this since I was a kid, but a couple of the guys in that clubhouse deserve to be there as well. They've been playing crisp. I
deserve to be there more than I do. Like, there's no harm in saying that.
There's no harm, but I think at the end of the day, we just have to realize he's socially awkward. He's not good in front of a microphone. Doesn't make him a bad guy at all. It just doesn't make him a leader.
Yeah, well, understood. I'm not saying he's a bad guy.
I know you're not.
I'm just saying that I feel like I just had it with Pete Alonso. Not that they need to get rid of him. And by the way, they're not going to trade him. But they're also not going to give him the big contract that he wants. So
they're going to do the wrong thing then. So they're not going to retain him, which you and I both agree they should not.
Right.
They're not going to trade him, which means they'll get no assets. So they're going to do the absolute dumbest thing for the franchise and let him walk out the door and get nothing.
Or maybe keep him the rest of this year, try to make the playoffs, see what could happen, and then see if they could come to some kind of agreement. Because you don't know what the market's going to be for Alonso. I don't think it's going to be a robust market. Like
I don't either.
Yeah, we said that before the year, and certainly now. I don't care how many All-Star games or how many home runs he hits in the home run derby. Pete's not going to get the big contract that he thought he was going to get. So let's say it's a 1 or 2 year deal. Could the Mets extend at that particular point? Sure. I'm just looking at it. First and foremost, I look at the team and the success that the team has had. Pete has been an insignificant part of that success. If he were playing better, maybe they would be closer to the Phillies in the division. I don't know, but he's been really insignificant as far as the impact has gone, where you look at Lindor, Nimmo, Vientos, Alvarez, we went over J.D. Martinez. Plenty of guys have been more impactful than Pete Alonso. So that's number one.
Iglesias,
yeah.
I mean, a couple of hits again.
I know it sounds odd. He has been.
Yeah.
Defensively, offensively, he's been more impactful. The energy that he brings in the clubhouse chemistry, all those different things. So that's number one to me. And then number two, the more I thought about it, and then you read Ken Rosenthal's article with talking about shortchanging two of his teammates by saying that I'm going to go to the All-Star game only if I'm selected to the home run derby. And clearly that's what Major League Baseball did. Now, you're right. That's on them.
Yeah.
It's not Pete's fault.
Not the All-Star police.
But he should have said, I'm not deserved of being the only All-Star on this team. I'm having a down year. I expected more of myself.
Yeah.
Those guys should be going before I go.
Well, I mean, let's. I mean, they're a game over 500. How many Mets do you want to be there?
No, I think Lindor.
So at least if Lindor was there and nobody else was, you're fine. Then you think they got it right at that point.
And again, let me just reiterate this too, because I said this earlier in the week. It's nobody's fault but their own. If Lindor and Nimmo were doing this since April, they'd be in the All-Star game.
No, I get it. I want to go back to something he said. This is a little different from how Pete, in your eyes, and I get it. I don't fault him for it, but I understand what you're saying. Not elevating his teammates when he was asked about his own All-Star selection. Okay. But do you think that Major League Baseball actually catered to him? Like, I know that it seems that way. Like,
no,
hey,
I think they wanted him in the home run derby.
Understood. But like, think about now the home run derby. It is what it is. You either get into it or you don't. For about 15 years, I completely rejected it. My son's 9. Now I watch it.
Right.
When he's older, I probably won't. But this is not Mark McGwire. This is not Griffey. This is not Bonds. This is not Alex Rodriguez. It's Pete Alonso. You tell me that Major League Baseball is jumping through hoops to get Pete Alonso at the home run derby?
I mean, that's what basically Rosenthal is saying.
Does anybody that's not a Mets fan have a Pete Alonso jersey in the world?
But he is a good home run hitter. He is a guy that won this home run derby, 2 times in a row, whatever it was.
Yeah,
for
it's twice, right?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
So okay, exactly. I remember.
I think he's trying to get his third, I believe.
Okay, fine, but he lost last year. Wants another. But so yeah, he is a draw. Whether you and I are into it or not, I do think Alonso, because of his home run prowess and his past success in the home run derby, is a draw for Major League Baseball to have in that tournament, especially where they have top guys not participating in it. Like if Aaron Judge were in it, then maybe they could be like, all right, well, we don't care. But Judge doesn't want to do it or whatever. Some of the stars don't want to do it or guys are hurt. Whatever the case may be, I do think they catered to Pete because he said flat out, I'm only going to participate if I'm an All-Star, meaning that if they were to say, all right, well, we want Pete in the Derby, but we really got to pick Lindor as an All-Star, they're going to struggle to find somebody in the Home Run Derby. If Pete didn't say that, they could have said, okay, Lindor's the All-Star, and we're going to have Pete there in the Home Run Derby.
Yeah, I hear you, but I don't think Pete moves the needle nearly as much for the Home Run Derby as you're positioning that he does.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't impact advertising rates. Are you telling me? I'm not saying the answer is no, but are you telling me that whatever portion of America tunes in to watch the Home Run Derby, when they tease coming up next, the big slugger for the Mets, Pete Alonso, the polar bear, are you telling me that people are so entranced by his presence that they refuse to turn the dial? There's no way.
I'm saying that major, and it's not just me. Again, this is Ken Rosenthal.
I hear you.
Yeah. Major League Baseball wanted Pete Alonso in that home run derby. Right or wrong, believe it or not, he wanted Pete Alonso in that home run derby.
I got one more question for you. Yeah. But your biggest gripe is the way he answered the All-Star and the way that he maybe forced baseball's hand by being so forward about if I'm not an All-Star, I'm not going to the Derby. That's your biggest gripe, and then the way he didn't really not defend but prop up Nimmo and Lindor. Fair encapsulation? My
biggest gripe is that this has been a selfish move.
Okay, that's what I thought.
By Pete, yeah.
Okay, so let's role play for 1 sec before we get these calls. I'm Pete, you're a reporter. Okay. Ask me however you want to ask me about what you just said.
Pete, how about getting selected to the All-Star game this season?
I'm going to remove the ums because we'll be here forever. He's a big guy. He's a big guy.
Yeah.
Well, it's an honor. It's a thrill. It's been a dream of mine since I was a kid trying to hit home runs in the backyard with a wiffle ball. And I'm really looking forward to representing the Mets. And, I will tell you, though, even though we don't have the best record, I think Francisco Lindor's been amazing. I think Brandon Nimmo's been amazing. I'd like to see a little bit more company the way we've been playing. Really the hottest team in baseball the last month or so, last 5 weeks. I don't think it's a real great representation of what we've done for a good part of the early stretch of the summer. But again, I'm happy to be there, but I'd like more company. Okay.
I take that.
Yes. I know. But if he said that, I know, of course, I knew you would take it. Here's my real question. If he said that, would that change your position on Pete? Like, is he a leader? Does he fit? Is he good for the culture? Should you keep him?
Put it this way. When Nimmo and Lindor did it to each other, I think it was a year ago, where Nimmo was saying, Lindor, like they were asking about, hey, how do you feel to get, not get selected to the All-Star game or whatever? And he's like, well, I think Lindor should be going. That's the guy. And then Lindor said the same thing. For me, whatever, but Nimmo really deserves to be going. That showed me then. I remember feeling this way then. So this is not like a new thing. that, wow, that's a sign of leadership. So, yes, if Pete Alonso said, look, I'm happy to be going to the All-Star game, and you guys know how much I love the home run derby, but I'd be lying to you if I said I felt like I truly deserve it, because I hold myself to a higher standard. I'm not having the most successful, impactful year that I want. And as a matter of fact, there have been guys on this team like Lindor and Nimmo who have been better than I have, and they should have gotten selected before I did.
Mm-hmm.
That's the truth.
Yep.
Of the situation, not how Pete feels.
It's the truth.
That's the truth. B, if you say that, you come across looking great. You're selected to the All-Star game anyway, and you're propping up your teammates. Like, that's what an unselfish face of the franchise / leader does. We all know Pete's not a leader at this point. If you think that, you're just not paying attention. But this just really cemented it and hammered it home to me. And then to see Rosendahl, like, it's one thing for us who watch them all the time say that, to hear Rosendahl basically calling him out, and he called out Major League Baseball as well. You know, Major League Baseball shortchanging 2 of his teammates because Pete said, I'm only going if I'm an All-Star. Almost forcing they didn't have to, but if they wanted them in the home run derby, they're taking him. So it's the 2 things. It's what he said, then, or 3 things really. What he said, then the way baseball acted, and then him not even saying that his teammates are more deserving than he is, which is just the truth, BT. That bothers me about
He's
it.
aloof. He's always been aloof. He's never going to change. I don't think he's
right, but that's why I want to move on.
Understood, but I just wanted to ask you, like, if he would have positioned it differently, would it change big picture about his future? The answer is probably not. But
I wouldn't be talking today about I think the Mets would be better off without him. Like, now I'm almost at a point where I really do believe
this bothers you.
Well,
this annoys you.
It does.
Yeah, I can tell.
Because I think it actually hurts the team having a guy with that type of
ego,
presence, like
lack of perspective.
Yes.
Yeah, I get it.
He's look, we could say what we want about the down year. He got selected to the All-Star game. He is the lone All-Star. He is one of the stars of their team. I don't want that being one of the stars of the team that I root for. That's the way that I would say it. It's not a knock on him personally. He seems like a great guy. Hopefully he gets a big contract. I think the Mets are better off without Pete Alonso. And I've said this for a while anyway, because on the field impact, but that type of stuff, that's not what you want from a supposed leader or face of the franchise. BT and Sal on the Fan. Our friends at Town Fair Tire remind you that at Town Fair Tire, you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. Mike is in Bayonne. What's up, Mike?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Hey, Sal, I can't agree with you more about Pete Alonso. There's not a more frustrating player on this team than Pete Alonso. And as a Met fan, I don't look at him as the same as I looked at like a David Wright or a DeGrom. He's not the leader of the team. Over the weekend, I took the family out to PNC Park to see, the Pirates and the Mets. And, every time Pete comes up, this guy does not strike fear into any pitcher that he's facing. Pitchers are pounding this guy down and away with sliders. His plate discipline is not there. It's just,
Mike, hold on. And I get it on the Alonso, and I think we're all on the same page, at least me, you, and Sal. Like, I'm defending him a little bit with the All-Star stuff because he is socially awkward. I don't think it's his job to necessarily speak to the state of All-Star status, but you just contradicted yourself. You said, it doesn't strike fear in the pitcher's hearts. First of all, you have no idea what a pitching staff is thinking about when Alonso steps in the box, and the fact that they feed him outside sliders tells you that they're afraid of him.
BT, I gotta disagree because the guy he's not making an impact. When is the last time this guy has come up to the plate and had a big
I'm not saying I don't really like him as a player, but this is just baseball 101. I'm just breaking it to you.
Right.
When you throw a power hitter soft stuff on the outer portion of home plate, you're doing it because you don't want to avoid his wheelhouse. And think about this. Remember when Scherzer made Aaron Judge look foolish at City 2 years ago? Remember that? During the Subway Series? How did he do it? Outside sliders on the black. I mean, it's a little baseball contradiction. Your point is received. Pete's not the man, and he never will be here. And he's probably going to be an ex-Met. But, is this the day that I'm going to have to defend Pete? Are we going to get so petty here? Everybody will start picking on Pete Alonso? First of all, you won last night. He had a couple of hits.
He didn't score from second on a double.
I did see your tweet.
Bro, that's unacceptable.
I did see that tweet, and I don't disagree. I don't disagree on that one. But
that's unacceptable.
And nitpick a little bit here. Jeez.
I know. It's not, you're right. And I almost, a part of me does actually feel bad. But I'm just telling you how I feel. It bothers me. Go back and watch, and you can search anything now. They have it all. Go back and watch how Lindor and Nimmo handled the same questions last year about not being selected to the All-Star game. They each said, now whether they truly felt it, and I do believe that they did to a certain extent, but they were volleying back and forth. It was almost like, all right, guys, enough. Where Lindor's like, no, Nimmo should really go. Nimmo's, no, Lindor should really go. That to me just showed, even if you don't truly believe it,
it's good for team chemistry.
Yes, that's what you're supposed to say. Mm-hmm. And this year, it should be what Pete truly believes because it's factually correct. Pete Alonso does not deserve to go to the All-Star game ahead of Lindor or Brandon Nimmo. Both those guys are more deserving of an All-Star nod. Is it the biggest deal in the world? No, but when Pete gets selected after saying he would only participate in the home run derby if he got selected to the game, then baseball does acquiesce and select him to be their lone representative so they could have him in the home run derby, and he doesn't even say anything of substance or worth about the two guys who clearly are major snubs here. It rubs me the wrong way.
So this is clearly emblematic of a much bigger issue. Let's say Jaylen Brunson, and this will not be the case because he will be a lock next year.
Yeah.
Let's say Jaylen's, when I asked, Jaylen going to make the All-Star team? And Jaylen says, you know what, I'll only do the three-point shootout if I'm an All-Star.
Right.
We won't hold it against him because he's already got a ton of equity here in 2 years.
Well, do you think he would do something like that?
I don't. Which speaks to part. Yeah, I don't think he would do that. And
also, let's say he had a down year, but Bridges was lighting it up.
He would absolutely say,
these guys should go, not me.
That's why I say it's emblematic of a bigger issue.
It is.
I know. I get that. But, let's...
And combined with the production, if Pete were hitting 50 home runs, maybe a bit. It's a culmination of a lot that's gone on here. And I'm just...
You're tired of it.
I'm rubbed the wrong way, but yeah, I am. And I think the Mets would be better off just moving on. Danny is calling from Queens Village. What's up, Danny?
Hey, what's up, guys? Love the show.
How are you, Danny?
So,
thanks, Dan.
I'm gonna defend Pete here. So the home run derby, right? Look at the participants in the home run. Pete is the show. Pete is the home run derby.
Who's in it, by the way? I'm not even sure. Who's in it?
Exactly. Alec Baum.
I think Henderson.
All-Star.
Whit Jr.
All-Star.
Yeah.
Teoscar Hernandez.
Tremendous
Ozuna.
season.
Ramirez. Bobby Witt Jr., but Alonso's that premier power hitter.
They're all better than Pete.
That is representing the home run derby.
Yeah. All right, but then that's the home run derby. What about? And I don't even care about the freaking home run derby. I'm more talking about.
I'm solely on the home run derby right here.
All
Listen,
right, Danny, understood. But because of that home run derby, he took away an All-Star nod from either one of his teammates who were more deserving, Lindor or Brandon Nimmo. You don't care about that?
I agreed 100%. Nimmo should 100% be in on.
But that's not his fault, though. That's when you.
Correct, but this is
hold
solely
on.
for the MLB to put the home run derby on a big stage, and Alonso is the guy.
Well, no, he's not. He's not the guy. Yeah, but first of all,
I think he's more the guy that you think in that regard.
Yeah, but who would you rather?
He's a draw. He's a two-time champion in recent years. Like, it's a draw to have that guy in there.
I get that. It's like having a two-time dunk contest. I get it. You want him back to defend the title, or even though he didn't win it last year, somebody who's been, very heroic in the home run sense. Understood. But to me, the show is Gunnar Henderson. Witt's in there. Who else is in there? So you would tell me in my ear, right? Witt and Henderson.
Ozuna's.
Jose Ramirez, Bohm.
Ramirez is going to be a Hall of Famer. Bomb's an All-Star for the Philadelphia Phillies. Basically their entire
Adolis Garcia.
Yeah, I got you.
Pete should be in the home. He should be in the home run derby, although based on his amount of home runs this year, probably not. But he should be in there because of his former success there. But he should not be an All-Star.
But that's not his fault.
But he said, if I'm not an All-Star, I'm not playing in it. Now, you're right.
I don't even really hold that again. That's a logistical thing.
Fair enough. But
I don't want to go, where is it again? I don't even know where it is.
Texas.
That's right. Yeah. It's in Texas. I don't want to go, 900 miles, 1,400 miles to take, 71 swings and get on a plane and go home. I don't blame him.
I'll meet you there. That's fine. Like, I didn't really have a big problem with it. But being that it did directly cost his teammates, at least one of them, a deserving spot, the least that could have happened is Pete say, I I'm very appreciative of going. I can't wait to participate in the home run derby. My teammates, specifically Francisco and Brandon, deserve the All-Star vote more than I did.
And Iglesias as well.
Yeah. And Vientos, and Alvarez, and Martinez, BT and Sal, and Severino.
I was going to say, Sevy,
Yeah.
hey, back up. Better back up next time. Darling's going to kill
Oh,
you.
he got
Darling
pretty
was
good
absolutely
yesterday.
right on the money.
BT and Sal on the Fan Warrior calls on the other side.